Yoki is just another unlucky guy who dies in a boring traffic accident and wakes up in a fantasy world as a demon. But instead of becoming a cool overlord, he ends up as a castle employee with zero career goals. Then, a hero's party storms in, and this so-called scary general forgets his job the second he sees the priestess Cecilia. One look at a cute girl, and the mighty demon turns into a full-time simp. It all begins in an alternate world that is threatened by the Demon King and his generals. A small group known as the Heroes Party decides to challenge that darkness, believing they are the only ones able to end the threat. Yuga, the leader, looks at his companions and asks one last time if they are truly prepared, because once they step forward, there will be no path back. Each of them answers without hesitation that they are ready to risk their lives. The mage assures Yuga that she has studied every general who serves the Demon King, and that victory is possible if they follow the plan she has created. Encouraged by her confidence, the party approaches the castle and prepares for what they believe will be the final battle. The moment they cross the main doors, their hope is shaken, because the first enemy waiting for them is Yoki, captain of the demon generals. He says he has expected their arrival and warns that anyone who wishes to touch the Demon King must first defeat him. The mage refuses to listen to more of his words and hurls a fireball at his face, but Yoki brushes it aside as though it is nothing. He mocks their strength, saying even the simplest defensive spell can block their magic. The tank rushes forward and swings his blade, yet Yoki avoids every strike with ease before answering with a single kick that sends the warrior flying across the hall. Cecilia, the party's priestess, quickly casts reinforcement magic on Yuga so he can unleash the power of Excalibur, the legendary sword. Yuga pours all his strength into the attack, but Yoki does not even step aside. He releases his own dark technique, and the two powers collide until the hero's light is swallowed by shadow. A wave of energy crashes over the party and leaves them unconscious on the stone floor. While Yoki inspects the fallen heroes to decide their fate, his gaze lingers on Cecilia, and he realizes she matches his idea of beauty. His thoughts are interrupted when his generals arrive and ask whether they should end the intruders for good. Duke the Dullahan, the headless knight, urges him to finish the job, and Happiness the harpy wonders why he keeps staring at the priestess. Yoki avoids the question and says killing them would be pointless. Instead, he orders the generals to carry the heroes outside the castle and leave them near a nearby village. The generals obey, though Happiness warns that showing mercy may anger the Demon King. Yoki pretends not to worry, yet before Cecilia is taken away, he silently bids her farewell. A month passes, and the heroes return again and again to attack the castle, but each attempt ends the same way, with Yoki defeating them and throwing them out alive. One day, the Demon King summons him to the throne room, where the minister mocks Yoki for failing to kill such weak opponents. Laughter spreads through the court, while Yoki keeps his head lowered and answers nothing. The Demon King then declares that if the heroes leave the castle alive one more time, the task will be handed to Yoki's subordinates instead. The threat troubles Yoki deeply because he knows his juniors cannot survive a battle with the heroes. He promises the Demon King that the next time the party enters the castle, they will not live to see another dawn. Later, alone in his quarters, he lies on his bed and wrestles with the decision he must make. He understands that the heroes possess enough power to defeat even the Demon King himself, and only his overwhelming abilities have kept them from victory. Still, he cannot allow them to face his subordinates, and he realizes the next encounter must end differently from all the others. A couple of weeks pass before the heroes' party enters the castle once again, and this time, Yoki decides the battle must end for good. He tells Yuga that the party should learn from its mistakes instead of returning every few weeks only to be defeated again. Yuga refuses to listen and rushes forward with Raven, the red-haired tank, and together they attempt to trap Yoki with an attack from two sides. Yoki moves faster than they expect, blocks both strikes, and answers with a purple blast of magic that forces them back. Before they can steady themselves, he fires a second blast that slams them into the wall. Cecilia runs to heal Yuga and Raven, while Mikana stays behind to hold Yoki in place and buy time. Mikana releases a spell that Yoki blocks, but she follows it with a curved fire attack that explodes a moment later and catches him off guard. The explosion has little effect because his power is far beyond that of a normal general, and Mikana wonders how anyone can be this strong. Even so, her effort allows Cecilia's enough time to restore the two warriors so they can stand again. Yoki laughs and says nothing will change no matter how many times they challenge him. Yuga grips Excalibur, gathers all his energy into the blade, and charges for a final strike. But when the smoke clears, Yoki remains untouched and asks if they finally understand they cannot defeat him. Yuga steps back, yet refuses to give up, saying they must defeat the Demon King at any cost. To everyone's surprise, Yoki offers to let them pass to the throne room if they leave Cecilia behind. Yuga rejects the idea at once, but Makana argues that the life of one priestess cannot outweigh the lives of millions. Cecilia herself speaks and tells her companions to go on without her, and Yuga promises he will return for her as soon as the Demon King is defeated. The party moves through the gate, leaving Cecilia alone with Yoki. In the silent hall, Yoki feels awkward and asks how she is, but Cecilia remains tense and declares she will fight even if she has no chance of winning. She fires a spell that Yoki blocks, and he quickly tells her to calm down because he has no intention of harming her. Confused, she demands to know why he kept her behind. Yoki gathers his courage and admits he has liked her since the first day he saw her and wishes to go on a date with her. Cecilia is shocked and can only apologize, and Yoki understands the rejection. He sinks to the ground, saying there is no reason for him to live, while Cecilia wonders if this is another trick. She reminds him that demons are supposed to be heartless, yet Yoki answers that he is not truly a demon. He explains that he was once a human in another world and was reincarnated here as a demon under the Demon King's rule. The party could not defeat him because his power is far beyond anyone else, and he is only allowed to leave the castle to attack human villages, something he hates because he still feels human inside. Cecilia asks why he does not simply kill the Demon King and live freely, and Yoki replies that if he did, the demons would crown him as the next ruler, a fate he does not want. Cecilia then tells him to abandon the demon life and return to the human world to live normally, and her words awaken hope in his heart, so he decides to accept her suggestion. On that same day, the heroes' party defeats the Demon King, and the royal capital holds a grand celebration where Yuga and his companions are honored by the king. Yoki watches from outside the city, breaks off his horns to look more human, buys ordinary clothes, and heads to the Adventurers Guild to begin a new life. The guild hall is almost empty except for a tired receptionist named Seek, who complains about working during the holiday. Yoki asks to register as an adventurer, and Seek sighs but prepares the documents, hands him an adventurer card, and warns him not to lose it because replacing it is troublesome. Weeks pass as Yoki completes quest after quest and rises from F rank to D rank faster than anyone in memory, becoming the main topic of the guild. Seek questions how a newcomer can advance so quickly, but Yoki only smiles and submits more requests. One day Cecilia appears suddenly and asks to speak with him alone. She brings him to her home and urges him to leave the guild, explaining that, with the Demon King gone, nations are struggling for power and trying to recruit strong adventurers for their own armies. She fears that if Yoki continues to stand out, some country will attempt to control him, and his strength would be as dangerous as a living weapon. Yoki promises to act more quietly from now on. At that moment, Celia, Cecilia's mother, calls them inside and tells Yoki that many marriage proposals have arrived for her daughter, including one from Yuga, the hero. Yoki grows angry and complains loudly until Cecilia tells him to be quiet and says she has already rejected every offer. Hearing this, Yoki faces Celia and declares that although Cecilia refused him once, he will work hard as an adventurer, build a proper life, and ask for her hand again when he is worthy. Celia seems satisfied and leaves them alone. Yoki then says goodbye to Cecilia and returns to his small home, waiting for the day he can stand before her once more and ask for a different answer. A couple of days pass, and Yoki accepts a new quest to defeat a chimera that has been attacking villagers without reason. Seek tells him the job may take a week or even longer. Yet when Yoki reaches the deep jungle and meets the monster, he realizes the task is simpler than expected. The creature, half chicken and half snake, lunges at him again and again, but Yoki moves far faster and lets it exhaust itself before ending the fight with a thunderbolt spell. He gathers the feathers as proof of success and thinks that since the battle took less than half a day, he may be able to rise through the ranks even quicker. Before he can leave the forest, he senses danger, and a knight bursts from the bushes aiming a blade at his throat. Yoki dodges with ease, only to notice a harpy swooping from above to claw at his eyes. He raises a magical barrier and throws the attacker back, yet another figure rushes toward him, a small pixie whose face he recognizes at once as Sheik, one of his former subordinates. Yoki calls his name, saying it is truly him despite his new appearance, and Sheik halts in surprise. A moment later, Duke the Dullahan and Happiness the Harpy reveal themselves from hiding, stunned to see their captain alive when they believed he had perished with the Demon King. Yoki tells them he is glad they are safe, but Duke angrily asks why he vanished after the Empire fell, explaining that they searched everywhere and feared the worst. Duke also notices that Yoki no longer has horns or wings and looks human, and he demands to know what happened. Yoki orders him to calm down and explains briefly that he confessed his feelings to Cecilia from the hero's party, was rejected, and chose to live as a human adventurer. The three are baffled that the former captain of the demon generals would adopt such a life. Yoki says he has chosen this path of his own will and that they are free to do whatever they wish in the peaceful world that has begun. Shaik, Happiness, and Duke immediately answer that they want to stay with him and live as humans too, and they are curious to meet the woman who captured his heart. Yoki warns them that demons have no place among humans, but the three insist that if their captain can change his appearance and start anew, then they can do the same. Hearing their decision, Yoki agrees to let them stay with him and brings them to meet Cecilia, but she is horrified when she learns that Yoki tore off Happiness's wings to make her appear human. Cecilia scolds him for acting without thinking, saying that even if he wanted the harpy to blend in, ripping away her wings must have caused terrible pain. Happiness clings to Cecilia and murmurs that she is kind, and Duke and Shaik watch with admiration, even clapping for her gentle heart. After the commotion settles, they all go inside the mansion for tea, and Cecilia asks Duke if it is true that they once served under Yoki. Duke explains calmly that he is a Dullahan, Happiness is a harpy, and Shaik is a pixie, and that all of them are humanoid beings rather than pure demons. Yoki is surprised to hear Duke speaking so openly, because in the past, he was almost silent. Duke admits that his quiet nature was because of Yoki himself, recalling how, when Yoki first arrived as their captain, he hated him. Yoki had been a withdrawn figure who avoided conversation, ignored orders from his superior Misaki, and showed no respect for the demon hierarchy. Duke once decided to discipline the new captain by force, yet Yoki defeated him with overwhelming strength, and that defeat planted respect in Duke's heart. Cecilia remarks that the three now seem to care deeply for their captain, and Duke agrees that their bond grew over time. While they talk, Yoki notices that Happiness and Shiki have gone silent and begins to search for them, worrying about the danger if anyone discovers that Cecilia is sheltering demons. They soon find Sheik asleep in the lap of Celia, who says the little pixie ran around the garden until he tired himself out. Yoki apologizes and explains that Shike is his friend and does not understand human manners, but Celia only smiles and answers that she loves children and does not mind at all. Yoki then asks about Happiness, and Celia says that headmaid Sophia took the girl inside the mansion. Everyone rushes back, afraid the harpy might panic, but they discover her standing quietly in a maid uniform that Sophia has given her. Sophia proudly introduces the newcomer as a new maid named Happiness, yet Cecilia quickly explains that she is the companion of Yoki. Sophia apologizes for the confusion, saying she expected another recruit that day. Yoki tells Happiness to change back, but she insists that she wants to work and asks Sophia if she may stay as a servant. Sophia smiles warmly and replies that she will show her the servants' quarters and teach her everything she needs to know. In the evening, Yoki prepares to leave with Duke and Shaik, while Happiness remains behind in the mansion. Shaik rubs his sleepy eyes and mutters that the harpy is lucky to stay in such a grand place. Cecilia tells them they may visit any time, and Celia, her mother, quietly takes Yoki aside to speak with him. She explains that Cecilia has been burdened with work and has not rested properly, so she plans to give her a holiday tomorrow and asks Yoki to take her out on a date. The next morning, Yoki waits eagerly at the city square, and soon Cecilia arrives in a beautiful wagon pulled by two griffins. She steps down, dressed like an ordinary girl with thick glasses, yet her simple appearance only makes her more charming in Yoki's eyes. He takes her hand and they wander through the lively streets. Cecilia shows delight in every small thing she sees, stopping at a cake shop and asking if they can return later for tea. They continue through the town, playing with cats and trying on dresses, and Yoki plans to buy her a small gift to remember the day. Their peaceful outing is interrupted when Yuga and Mikana appear nearby, also dressed in civilian clothes. Yuga rushes to Cecilia and begins speaking to her as if Yoki is not even there, inviting her to join them. Cecilia politely answers that she is already spending the day with a friend, and only then does Yuga notice Yoki. He casually says Yoki may come along if he wishes and leads Cecilia into a gift shop, leaving Mikana and Yoki outside. Mikana mutters that she hopes Cecilia falls for a commoner like him, and Yoki first feels encouraged until he realizes the words were meant as an insult towards Cecilia. He understands that Mikana's nature is far from kind. Inside the shop, Yuga continues to talk boldly to Cecilia, despite her earlier refusal of his marriage proposal, and Yoki decides he will not step aside. He enters and chooses a delicate necklace, asking Cecilia if she likes it, and she blushes and says it is beautiful. Yuga suddenly pushes forward holding an expensive emerald tiara and removes Cecilia's hat to place it on her head. Her glasses drop to the floor, and the crowd instantly recognizes her as the famous priestess. Along with Yuga and Mikena, people swarm around them, and Yoki is left alone, unable to reach her. While searching through the chaos, he meets Raven, who is surrounded by excited girls. Yoki distracts them and pulls Raven into a quiet alley to free him. He notices Raven's soft, almost girlish voice and feels surprised. Yet Raven stops him and shyly asks if they can be friends because others often mock the way he speaks. Yoki agrees before hurrying off again to find Cecilia. He finally spots her still in disguise, helping a small boy who lost his mother in the crowd, and Yoki joins the search despite suggesting she return home. Cecilia refuses to leave the child, and they continue looking together. The following morning, Yoki visits the mansion, and Celia greets him with worry, saying Cecilia collapsed from exhaustion after the previous day. Yoki apologizes for failing to protect her, but Celia assures him the blame lies with Yuga, who even forced his way into the house, claiming he would care for Cecilia until headmaid Sophia threw him out. Celia allows Yoki to see her daughter, and he finds Cecilia's resting in bed. They speak about the madness of the festival, and Cecilia asks him to take her out again on her next free day, which fills Yoki with joy. His excitement makes her laugh until she coughs, and Sophia angrily drives him from the room. On his way home, Yoki meets Raven again, who seeks advice about confessing to a kind girl he loves but feels insecure because of his voice. Yoki encourages him to be brave and speak from the heart, and Raven thanks him before walking towards Cecilia's house, making Yoki realize in horror that the girl Raven loves is Cecilia herself.
And that is it for today. If you enjoyed this recap, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and feel free to write whatever you want in the comments section. Thank you for watching.